Unmarriageable by Kamal is billed as Pride and Prejudice in Pakistan. And just so you know, it's exactly that. It is super well written and it does a really good job of explaining Pakistani culture and the history between India and Pakistan, all through the guise of Jane Austen. Pride and Prejudice lends itself so well to class based novels, whether that's Pakistan or China or even here in the United States. And this book does just an exceptional job of that. That being said, I would like an illustrated version because I want to see exactly the clothes they are describing because they sound gorgeous. Unmarriageable is a Pride and Prejudice rewrite. You have all of the major characters. I like the way that they go through and recast everyone. I'm always going to talk about Mr. Collins because there's so many Mr. Collins if it's a Pride and Prejudice rewrite, and I think this Mr. Collins rewrite was very well done. He is not my favorite Mr. Collins, and I promise we will get to my favorite Mr. Collins and my favorite of all of the characters in all of these Jane Austen rewrites and reimaginations and knockoffs. But this one is so well done. I think Soniah Kamal did an amazing job. I also like that she wrote about writing Jane Austen. She's a Pakistani American, and I just think she did a great job. In the world we currently live in, understanding other cultures is so critically important, and I think that this job just did an amazing job of describing another culture in a frame of reference so many people will understand. I also love what they particularly did with Kitty. I feel like Kitty's kind of a second class character in so many adaptations because she's not Lydia. She's just the other sister and she's not Mary. She's just supposed to be this other Lydia, for the foil for Lydia to bounce off of. And in this book, I really feel like they pulled Kitty's story out without having it be a Kitty-based story. There's so many of the rewrites that tell it from Mary's point of view or Kitty's point of view or Lydia's point of view. There's sequels that tell you what happens to all of these different characters after the fact, and I will be covering a lot of those books. But this one, it gives Kitty a voice in a way you just don't see coming, and I very much enjoyed. I also really love the Mr. Bennet. I feel like he was a tried and true Mr. Bennet. Sometimes I feel like they try to make Mr. Bennet into something he wasn't. They don't do that in this book. I really like what they do with Mrs. Bennet at the end. Also very well tracked with who I think she would be in the context they put her in. Longbourn, Pemberley, how they describe these different places is just really, really well done. Rosings, all of that is just, it's so well done. Charlotte Lucas is a great character in this, and I like how they recasted her into a more relatable age than the books. Because remember, in Pride and Prejudice, Charlotte Lucas is only like 22 years old. But in this book, they make her a little bit older, and they set the tone, I think, appropriately. Also, I would like to eat everything described in this book as far as the food goes. There's so much here. If you don't have a strong understanding of the India-Pakistan conflict and where that all comes from, of course, Pakistan being broken off of India in the era of Mahatma Gandhi and the British, this book does a really good job of explaining it as it goes, and also explaining how there are still family members on both sides of that divide who might want to reach across, and or families that still have huge attachment to a place that might not be in their country anymore. One of the greatest questions that the author asks during this book is, what determines your history? Is it your language? Is it the country you're born in? Is it the books you grow up reading? She references great literary question marks in terms of education and who decides. And I think that this book was just wonderfully written for a world that needs to ask the question, how much does your personal history dictate who you are? And how much of it is dictated by the society around you? A great example is they talk about if you're an English speaker, you're a burgher, and if you speak one of the native languages, then you're a chapati. So in this book, they talk about Urdu and many other cultural languages. One of the most interesting things as you travel the world, in my opinion, is learning how many languages each country has. But in other countries, there's more native languages spoken. And this book does a great job of exploring that reality, especially given the migration that has to take place in order for Pakistan and India to separate. It's so well done. Read it, don't read it, but please read something and join me as I continue to cover Jane Austen knockoffs. Let me know what your favorite knockoff is and what you would like me to cover in the future.